All right, today I'm going to be showing you how to repair or replace your high pressure seals on your pressure washer pump, also known as the water seal kit. The pump I'm using in this demonstration today is going to be a Comet ZWD 4040. The water seal kit for this Comet pump is part number 501-900-6400. It comes with 3 sets of 5 seals, which you see here. And the tools I'm going to be using to make this repair today, I'm using a mechanics or a dental pick, 2 flathead screwdrivers, an Allen key, a pair of reverse pliers, and a rag. So the very first step that we're going to take is using my Allen key. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up these 8 bolts that are holding the brass head onto the pump body. When you remove these, you kind of want to do a cross pattern, which means I'm going to remove them in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do not advise using air tools or power tools to do these repairs. Hand tools are probably going to be the best thing you can do, because this brass head is very soft and easy to damage, especially if you over torque things. So I'm going to go ahead and get these removed now. On my example, most of these are relatively loose. If you're removing this on your pump, they might be a little bit tight on there. All right, now at this point I have all the bolts out of the pump here, and there's nothing else really holding this head to the body. A lot of times it's from use, pressure, and heat. It's definitely going to be on there pretty tight. They don't just slide right off. You also want to consider that your 3 ceramic plungers are also inside of the head, even though they're attached to the body, so you definitely don't want to try and twist it off, because you could cause damage to those ceramic heads. What I like to do is I take 2 flathead screwdrivers and just kind of carefully pry the head away, and as you can see, it kind of separated there, and now kind of finesse it right off. And now I have my pump body and head separated. One thing I like to mention is in this example, looks like all of my brass retaining rings decided to stay on the plunger's there, and then all the seals are still down in my pump. Sometimes the seals might be up here with the brass retainer, sometimes it all might be down here in the head. Every time I take one apart, it's always something different. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong, it's just kind of the way it came off. So I'm going to go ahead and slide these right out of here, just like that. And you want to be real careful not to damage these ceramic plungers, because it's an expensive part to have to change. And well, that's pretty much the whole reason. If you were to find these brass pieces down here inside of this head, I'm just going to go ahead and place this one in, and you make sure it's in there nice and tight. Let's say you opened it up and you found it like this. One thing you definitely don't want to do is take your screwdriver and jam it in there at an angle and pry it out. you will cause pump damage pretty immediately by doing that. So what do you do to get it out in this situation is, I'm going to take my reverse pliers and I'm going to take my rag, and so that I protect my brass head, I wrap this in the rag. I would reach this in here and twist it out just like that. And that's how I would remove that if it were stuck in here. And this interior brass wall of all three of these cylinders here is it's pretty soft. It is brass, soft metal. You don't want to, like I said, you really don't want to jam things in there and mar it up. A lot of times you can use your finger and get them out. And they come out in that order. And I generally like to leave them just the way I find them. It's kind of your guide for how it's going to go back together. And this last one's in there pretty tight. I'm going to use the same trick using my reverse pliers and the rag. And I don't really want to force them out. I want to finesse them out. And there they go. They came right out. So I'm just going to put this to the side for a moment and kind of talk about these brass rings and the seals. Essentially, this is it. This is what we're repairing today. If you look at this brass seal here, you can see it's kind of indented in the video. You see the center there looks deeper than the rest. And then when you look at these seals, they kind of match, where this side arches up and that side is indented. Same with this one. This one's not like that, but it kind of matches the pattern there on this end. And they all sit inside of each other pretty snug, and then all three of them are going to fit pretty snug in there, and that's the way they go. So that's only 3 seals and a brass ring. And when we had our repair kit, let's come back over here, we saw here's the 3 seals, and that leaves us with these 2. So where are these 2? These 2 are actually attached to the brass retaining ring. Let's go back over here. The larger O-ring is this O-ring here, which you would use your dental pick to carefully get that out. And there's that. And then the last seal, which is actually your low pressure seal, is here inside. It's a little tricky to get to. That's kind of the whole reason I have my dental pick here today. And you want to take your time getting this out. You don't want to mar up the brass. You don't want to scratch it all up. It's a matter of patience when you get it out. And there's the last seal. This seal, compared to all the rest, is actually pretty flexible, where these are not flexible at all. They're much more rigid seals. And I'm going to follow my pattern here. This is the way they came out, in that order: black, red, white, with the brass ring sitting right on top. So got it all out. And go ahead and come over here to my new parts. Larger O-ring. I'm gonna seat it right in there. Here I have my seat. You're gonna have to kind of pinch this So finesse it in there. This is a part that can get a little frustrating because to get this to seat where it needs to go can definitely be frustrating. It goes here on this lower end. It's kind of hard to see. That's the seat for it there. So I'm just trying to kind of use one finger to guide it and pinch it in. This part does take a ton of patience to get in correctly. You don't want to rip this up, especially around this edge or this interior edge while you're installing it. You want to take your time and get it done right. And there you saw. And I'm looking in there and it's not seated perfectly. It's got a little twisting there. It's right there. There's a twist. So you want to make sure that it is seated nice. I just kind of felt a click with my finger and now I'm looking in there and it is in there perfect. I'll come back over here, back to my brass head. I've got my high pressure seals here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put them in with my finger. 1, 2, making sure it goes all the way down. Number 3. There it goes. Very snug fit. 1, 2, and 3 are in there. Brass retaining ring. I'm looking at my seal one more time, making sure it's perfect. It has to be. And I'm going to push this down. You might hear a click or feel it as you're pushing it in. And there it is. That's how it's going to sit. And I'm going to repeat this process for these two also. So here we go. One, 2, getting it down in there. I'm doing this, like I said, with my fingers. I'm not using any tools. Don't want to damage the brass in there. Last retaining ring. You know, that O-ring is essentially what's creating the seal and why it's going to click or snap into place. And you heard it on that one, so I know it's in place well. Let's go ahead and do this last one now. Taking the 3 seals first and putting them in one at a time with the arced end up. 1. These last 2, they don't actually go in flat. I kind of always got to put them in at a slight angle just to make sure they fit in the bore. And that's why they fit so snugly. 2 and 3. Brass ring matches. And there it is. It's found its home. That's pretty much it at this point. Gonna take my head, my pump, and I'm going to carefully get it back on there. And as you can see, I'm not forcing it. I'm just gonna try and ask it to find its home there. And there it goes. You know, I did not apply a ton of force to get that together. I just kind of wiggle it, you know, and it'll find its home. So we've got that in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and put these bolts back in. Just going to reiterate one more time. Hand tools is the best way to do this. And when I actually start to tighten these down, I'm going to cross thread, you know, cross pattern it as I do it, kind of like you would for a tire on a car if you're changing your tire. And when I took it off, I started around the outside. I'm gonna go around the inside first on installation. Don't want to over torque this. It's down, it's tight, it's tight. You go too hard, apply too much pressure, you can crack your brass head, and that'll instantly ruin your pump.